3 years since Russia invaded Ukraine, and that happens to be a statement of fact, okay? Hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost. It's the deadliest European conflict since World War II. And Trump, our president, said today that he thought the war could end within weeks. This comes after calling Ukraine's leader Zelensky a dictator and basically suggesting that they had a role in Russia doing what they had to do. Dan Rice joins us, special advisor to the Ukrainian military, and he joins me live from the front lines in Dnipro, Ukraine. You guys doing okay out there? You all right?
Yeah, how you doing, Chris? Yeah, I'm here in Dnipro, which is a beautiful city. We're about 100 kilometers from the front lines. Get shelled pretty regularly, but the people here are really resilient, and it's a great community.
How are they dealing with, in terms of resilience, hearing that they had something to do with starting this war, which is the new line from the Trump administration? And what does that do to the relative leverage?
Well, when you're facing an existential threat of the enormous Russian army coming down on you, bearing down on you, committing all these horrible, heinous war crimes, stealing children, raping, looting, it's a completely disruptive army that's disgusting. When you have that bearing down on you and you hear that your democratically elected leader is a dictator, it bothers people. Well, what it's doing is actually coalescing everybody around the democratically elected leader. Zelensky has, I think, a 52% approval rate here. That's going up dramatically. Like, everybody here is rallying around their leader. They can attack each other in a democracy, but they don't like people from the outside attacking. So that's what's happening. I think it's also coalescing Europe together to support Ukraine, ironically. I think that's the genius of Donald Trump.
Do you think that's what Trump wanted to do by beating up on Zelensky and kind of blaming Ukraine for helping to start the war, was to get Europe to back Ukraine?
I can't get inside his head, but I do think the results speak for themselves. And so I think you're seeing that the Biden administration was basically, will support Ukraine indefinitely. And we weren't giving Ukraine enough to win. And that's a losing strategy because Ukraine's far smaller and can't win a war of attrition. So Donald Trump coming in saying he wants peace and he's adamantly seeking peace, I think gives people hope. Your lips to God's ear if it can end in a week or two, but I don't think it can. But I think getting the dialogue going, getting discussions with the Russians, giving them a potential off-ramp. Russia's getting really hit hard here. They've lost 850,000 casualties. By May, they're going to hit 1 million Russian casualties. They're getting hit hard. Their economy's hurting. They've got a 21% interest rate. They've got a 9.9% inflation rate and growing. And now Trump is hitting them hard with the Indian trade deal. The Indian trade deal wasn't a deal with India. The Indian trade deal was a deal to hurt Russia. Since 3 years ago, today's anniversary, Indian imports have increased from Russia, oil imports, 11-fold. All of the Russian oil is going to India to pay for this war. Trump just did a deal to send U.S. oil to India, and that hurts Russia. So his actions are helping Ukraine. The words, though, really hurt, but they're coalescing Ukrainians around their democratically elected leader, President Zelensky.
And I wonder if Putin realizes that when Trump signs this mineral rights deal with Ukraine, no matter how people here feel about it, he will now be justified to use military action to defend America's interests in that regard within Ukraine. It's an interesting little fold at the negotiating table. But Dan, I got to jump. We will, and I know that because you explained it to me like 6 months ago. But we will continue the conversation. Please stay safe, and thank you for the insight.
Great to see you, Chris. Thank you. Thanks for your support.
All right. Be well, stay safe. We'll be right back.